It is 7:38 on Saturday morning. Just Stop Oil, the climate activist group, is threatening to disrupt the largest ever Pride parade in London today over its sponsors, which include United Airlines. The group's issued a list of demands that organisers must meet in order to prevent protests potentially derailing a procession involving an estimated 35,000 people. Sean Irish is a protester from Just Stop Oil. Sean, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. Yep, my name is Sean. I'm from the Just Stop Oil Coalition.
Yep.
And me, along with our other queer members, are demanding that Pride take action on the climate crisis. Pride is supposed to be first and foremost a protest, and they have moved away from this. This is something that the queer community has been asking for many years, and it's finally caught the headlines now that Just Stop Oil is asking for it. But this is something that queer members have been asking for a very long time.
Okay. We've also, stay with us, Sean. We've also got Luke Trill with us, the UK director of More in Common, the think tank focused on bridging divisions to find common ground. Luke, good morning to you.
Good morning.
What do you make, first of all, of what Sean said there about why he and Just Stop Oil feel this action is necessary?
Well, there is no doubt that we need to take action on climate, and I think lots of the attendees at today's Pride March will share that sentiment. But to threaten to disrupt an event which is about celebrating a minority community who hasn't had the easiest of years, I think is just deeply irresponsible. And what particularly worries me about what Just Stop Oil were asking for in their demands, it's not just about protesting taking money from those that invest in fossil fuels, but it was also demanding that Pride sign up to all of Just Stop Oil's missions and even train up Pride volunteers in civil disobedience. And that to me is it's slightly dystopian that you have this campaign group that is trying to force, again, this, what should be both a protest and a celebration, to sign up to a set of, demands or risk disruption.
Sean, why are your demands? Are your demands going too far?
Absolutely not. I mean, let's be very, very clear about this. Just Stop Oil is not targeting the queer community. Just Stop Oil is targeting what is, in essence, a company, Pride in London, which is a company that has historically had a lot of trouble and has, had to be, forced into not letting UKIP march, had to be forced into removing police, had to be forced into not allowing UKIP to march in its marches. This is not a targeting of the queer community. This is the queer community.
Why aren't you, for example, painting the windows of the HQ of London Pride rather than disrupting the march today? Again,
we have targeted all sorts of things. It's obviously Just Stop Oil has now garnered this massive attention because it's been asked through the Just Stop Oil forum. But, there has been groups for years that have been trying to petition the Pride group to actually take action on this. This is something that the queer community wants. The queer community does not want to be represented by horrible fossil fuel companies and by companies that are destroying the planet. This is not something that queer people want. This is not something that queer people need. Asking Pride to return to its actual foundation, which is resistance, and to take action is not out of the realms of possibility. It's something that they should already be doing. Pride is for queer people. It is not for corporations to greenwash and make a profit from us and then move away when we're no longer useful. Queer people deserve a space. They deserve to be represented. And unfortunately, Pride as a company is not doing that. And if they're not going to do that, then queer people absolutely will fight for a space to be seen. That's what our members came to us. They wanted to see action and they wanted something. And now people are coming down 12 o'clock to Parliament Square and they'll be marching with us in a counter-protest to Pride as well. Will you be joining us at midday in Parliament Square?
Well, let's bring Luke in. Luke, speak to Sean. I mean, how do you feel about what he's outlining there? And particularly, there is an element of this that it's not necessarily new. There have been activist groups sort of within the LGBT, made up of LGBT people. For example, Fossil Free Pride, which has been campaigning for Pride events to refuse partnerships with potentially environmentally destructive companies for a while. So speak to Sean, Luke. What do you make of what he's saying?
Look, absolutely. And the LGBT community is a broad church. It should be a broad church. And there's absolutely room for solidarity with other campaigns. I'm afraid what I'd say to Sean is that the tactics of Just Stop Oil, which, I often think border on attention seeking for the sake of it, have now a pattern of disrupting the lives of those who are often the most marginalized and suffering the most. So, it's people trying to get to work, it's people trying to get to hospital, and to now target a Pride event where you'll have thousands of people wanting to come together to celebrate the LGBTQ community, to think about the next steps on the journey towards gay and trans equality, to disrupt that. I just think is deeply wrong. And I think does the important cause, which Just Stop Oil believe in, no good whatsoever, because we're increasingly seeing people, seeing say their group as eco-terrorists. I don't think it helps the cause of climate change. I think it's all about attention seeking. And if they wanted to really make a difference, they should be joining the march in solidarity with LGBTQ people.
Sean?
So we will be joining in solidarity with LGBTQ people. We will not be marching in solidarity with airlines and with massive fossil fuel companies and with massive, investors that have no interest in the queer community. It's just a laughable thing. They said the same thing to the ACT UP movement. They're doing it in the wrong way. It was the wrong way for Star to act. It was throwing a brick just causes so much issue. It doesn't bring people on side. This is not how you get attention. This is the wrong way to do it. That has been something that's been brought against queer activists for decades, and I just don't accept it. If we did not act out in the, during the AIDS epidemic, we wouldn't have resolved it. If we didn't fight for gay marriage, we wouldn't have it. We didn't fight
but Sean, a big part of the way, but Sean, a big part of the way that we achieved equal marriage was by building a broad-based coalition for change, which span right across the political spectrum, from the left, from radicals, people like Peter Tatchell, right through to conservatives, people like David Cameron, a conservative prime minister, led its introduction. That is the way that you make progress on LGBTQ equality. It is not by saying that we're going to have this small tent, unless you sign up to this series of, really strict, really ideologically pure demands. We have no interest.
What was our ideologically pure demand? What was our unreasonable demand, may I ask? Was it the no new oil and gas? Was it to not have fossil fuel companies?
You said, I'm afraid, John, you said in your letter to the Pride organisers that unless they set up events to train their volunteers in your style of civil resistance, you would disrupt the march. That to me is ideologically pure, because there should be space on a Pride march for people with a range of different views. Lots of them, like me, will share many of Just Stop Oil's aims and want to see us transition to a carbon-free economy. But to force people to, sign up to civil resistance and civil disobedience, it totally misunderstands how you make progress in this country. I'm afraid.
Offering a space for queer people to learn and to take action and to fight for their future is not the same as saying every queer person needs to get their hand on a road and glue it. That is not anywhere in our demands. We perfectly.
You do say that they have to offer civil resistance training.
There should be the opportunity, and Pride should be supporting people into civil resistance. That does not mean that everyone has to take it. Not everyone did a die-in in a church. Not everyone marched at every Pride that was a protest. Not everyone did something, but the fact that the queer community rallied behind its activists in the past and supported them rather than this division. You've got, let's put it fairly. If everyone had rallied towards this and gotten together instead of arguing, then it would be much easier for us to make these demands of Pride, because it would be queer people fighting for it. This is our queer members.
Well, yeah, so I'm just going to jump in. I suppose the point there, if everyone agreed, then everything would be plain sailing. But that's the point of having a conversation with both of you this morning, for which we're very grateful. Sean Irish from Just Stop Oil, thank you, and Luke Trill from More in Common, the think tank. Luke, thank you as well. Luke and Sean, we'll both potentially be out of the streets of London today. Your thoughts on what you've just heard, very welcome. Text 87222, start your message with the word Times, or you can email studio@times.radio.